We go for elite spec here? Probably not, because it's the arc lights, right? This is not bad. This is good, but I'm not so sure about the units here. I think I'd rather go for this. We just go for the late chaff, I think. It's either crawlers or late chaff. Crawlers probably make more sense here. But I do like late chaff as well. Maybe we can go for a mix. Maybe we can go for late chaff next round. Probably put this here. Even one square up is probably fine. This could be closer here, so that might be a minor mistake. Late fangs do really make a lot of sense to go with the storm. I think we just skip here. We can go for the fangs as we wanted to do the previous round. Could go for Phantom Rays as well, but I don't mind the fang play. No need for another storm. Could put one could put one fang in front here. Could also go for a Mustang, but we actually don't have the resources for that, or we don't have the we don't have the unlock. I think we're just gonna lead this person into thinking it's gonna be a normal game. Then the Phantom Rays come out round 3. It's partially deception to go for Phantom Rays round 3. It lures them into a sense of like not committing into Phantom Ray counters. Plus everything here, he doesn't need to get a Phoenix for this. He's probably going to go Mustangs. And this is actually pretty good for the survivability of our Arclight. So we're just building our board, we're building our chaff a little bit. We need the late fangs also for Wasp. So it just does a lot here. Arclights are still alive, surprisingly. Whoa. Is he fortified spec? How did he survive those blasts? Alright, him getting levels is not great, of course. Now the Phoenix has come. Definitely get the Phoenix. No doubt about that. And we'll also go for, I suppose, the Phantom Race. Could even go for another Phantom Ray in the middle. This is just to build our Phantom Ray board. We're only going to click oil, or at least our plan is only to click oil. Let's see what the opponent wants to do here. It's got a lot of chaff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're kind of similar in chaff, but actually we both have 3 fangs that are kind of late. The fire isn't going to be super amazing into these late fangs, but for 100 cost, the only thing is paying for the fire on the storms is going to be pretty expensive. These phoenixes are very far forward. I think they're going to be a little bit too exposed here. I think you always want your phoenixes a little bit further back, and he's going for the storms, which is pretty good. He's never going to expect all of a sudden 5 air units. So this is where we get our element of surprise. Fire still makes sense because it can hit his storms, it can hit his marksman. And we're going to lose maximum 2 crawlers. Phantom Rays have fairly decent chaff clear ability compared to the Phoenixes. They should be going right into the Phoenixes now. Nope. This actually is not looking that well for us. I thought his Phoenixes would be a little bit too exposed. But he looks like he just has way too much chaff. The late fangs are a huge problem. Alright, not much we can do here. You could argue the laser sight, but I don't think there's anything we go for here. I think it's a skip. The items are good, but we just don't have too much to put the items on. That's the problem. So we'll go for fire. Go for the oil. And let's just start doing that. We do need probably the wasp here. We can't really afford the wasp. We can only go more phoenixes, which I think is fine. He's actually going to burn us. That's crazy. And he actually unlocks the Vulcan. That's wild. And this is going to be somewhat helpful, especially if he beacons it. Is he not expecting us to go fire? Didn't even need to click this, but it's still good to have the fire. I'm just surprised that he went for this move. It's almost a worse move than our move, which is pretty bad to go for the oil and the fire, but at least he ignites it, so we don't have to deal with this next round. This is a little bit of a problem. Hopefully this Vulcan can die. No, it's too bad. Yeah, we're not looking great here. All of a sudden I look at the HP and we're pretty much at death's door. We're not going to worry about this guy. Okay, so we need wasp, I think, here. Do we need damage or do we need... Yeah, I think we need damage, but... let's go for the damage, actually. Go for the wasp stacked as chaff. I think we need to start borrowing. And... aerial spec, I mean, what tech do we go on this? I think we oil him first. Get a nice oil down. Okay. Aerial spec or EMP? I think it's a bit too risky to go for any of those techs. Do we just do this, missile this, and maybe missile something here? Okay, nice missile here. Good shield. We're gonna need to go range on the Phoenixes next, because we're gonna get a little bit too outranged. Charge is starting to do a lot here. I think it was the correct tech here, given we already have forward wasps as the front line, but eventually we're going to need to go range on the Phoenixes. Farseer did nothing. Maybe time to sell the Farseer. Alright, wasps are... The hounds are interesting for the extinguisher. I would get the hounds if I were him. I think we go for like the finisher or something if possible. The Wraith is not going to be great into whatever he's got. It's not going to be horrible. It's just the best sell right now. 550. This is 500. So I think we go for the sell and we go for the... Try to go for this. We don't have the money, unfortunately. We can only get a naked one. Naked one is a bit risky, I think. I think it kind of dies. I'm not sure. Might be our only play here, honestly. So where is he weaker? Slightly weaker over here. You just missile this. Let's go for this. HE Overlord is good, but this doesn't have armor, which is a huge concern. But he sells out of the Phoenix. Oh my god, that's so good. That is so good. Okay. I wish I put this guy more in the middle, because we need some of his stuff to be aiming. We need his Vulcan to be aiming here. So, hopefully, okay, it does turn, thankfully. And what happened to his other Phoenix? Okay, he moved it here, which is not great, but... yeah, the tank ability, it really needs to have the armor, so... Kinda not thrilled about this. It's dying a little bit too quick, but we are kind of on top of things. That being said, we don't have any chaff clear. We're just stuck on his chaff, so we're not going to be looking so good here. Okay. Maybe we just sell out of this and go for a worm. Go for some worms here. That could actually be a good play. I think we need to sell out. And what is our play here? Just triple worm? With this, and... let's see. What about our Phoenixes? They don't get range. Are they dying too quick? Not really. What do we need? Wasps aren't going to be the most amazing things. Do we just need meat? Do we just need... It's hard to say what we need here. We probably need missiles. Is it just another Phoenix? Don't have money for the Phoenix. Do we upgrade these guys? Maybe. This guy did some damage. Do we need shield for our fire? I don't think so. Could go EMP, but what does EMP do here? It's either that. I mean, EMP probably is just a better option. I don't love it. We could have probably doubled down on the on the worm here and still would on the on the factory, because he didn't really add a melter, so we are getting on top though. This is looking very good, surprisingly. This is the first time we actually went from a failed war factory into a worm. But I guess he just goes for a war factory himself, right? That's how he counters this. Lightning Storm is going to be devastating for us. He's going to shield up. He doesn't have many air units, so it's just going to be a skip. I think we bring back the War Factory here. And got the armor now. We want to go for speed. We want to sell out of something. Maybe sell out of this guy? Or do we sell out of this guy since he's going to do the spell here? We could sell out of this guy. I mean, either way. Could also just sell out of this guy, go for a shield. No, we cannot. I think we continue to missile here. And speed. Maybe we just go for broke here. Just go for a beacon. Let's go for broke. We have four overloads with HE. But it's still going to be really tanky here. This might actually work. It's looking more promising than before, surprisingly. There you go. I think it's gonna be enough here, I think. Is that GG? I think so. There you go. So, you know, we've been watching some of Conclusion, the cast from Pig. He loves to do his factory here and just beacon it in here with range and overload. I think that is also like a potential option. You can actually go back and try that. But I think, you know, what our strategy is more to have the tank war factory on the line. And then it's to transition into the sandworm. The sandworm definitely works. Right here, this game is a clear example. It works against the overlords, right? It works against the Vulcans. The Phoenix is not so much. Same thing, just like the War Factory, it doesn't work against a lot of Phoenixes, but the Overlord with HE is really, really good to go into the War Factory as well as the Sandworm. The Sandworm's better than the War Factory. So the reason why we went back to this is because his counter to this is actually a War Factory of himself. I guess the Overlords could potentially do it, but I'm not sure. Maybe he didn't know what the right counter was. But I was just thinking, you know, the War Factory plus the Sandworm is probably really, really good. And we had a fairly decent beacon there as well. So it kind of made sense at the time. That's why we did this. And I'm pretty happy that it worked. We came back from 52 HP. All right, so let's take a look at this this round where we lost with the War Factory here. So we went for the War Factory because we kind of got desperate. So we sell out of this. Can we go for Sandworm right away? Get 3 Sandworms perfectly. And like, what is this? Is this an option here? So this is what we did the round after. But what if we did it like a round sooner, is the question. Anyways, we lose like, I think we lose over 1,000 anyways in this, so just needs to do better than that. Okay, so the answer is it doesn't do that much better. Okay, now the War Factory didn't work, and it didn't do that much better. It's because he had the power spike from the Hounds, you'd imagine. So, what does better into the Vulcans here? Were we supposed to go for Fort AA? I mean, we just need more fire, right? But he's got shields, it's late fire. Is it just more of an investment on these guys? Like, we can go for these guys in front just to set the oil further away from us. And we can go for more phoenixes. Sell out. Well, would have wanted to sell out of that, but we'll just see how this works. He goes for the extinguisher dogs, which makes the oil and the fire a little bit less useful. It still sets the fire a little bit further to him, but Phantom Rays just disappear pretty much on this side because of the boat. And no, but does that kind of give... Our only way of beating the extinguisher dogs is kind of like with a Vulcan of our own. So somehow this worked. I'm just wondering, was that because of our Phantom Rays or was it just because of the Phoenixes? Phoenixes, they can't clear chaff. That's the problem. Right? We don't have any chaff clear besides our, besides these guys. So why don't we try... Why don't we just try more Phoenixes instead and just see if it's, what the actual thing that's working here is. We'll even borrow and just missile this to make this a little easier for us. Go for attack. Okay. Guess we do have a couple arc lights that are kind of clearing chaff, but are we supposed to build arc lights into this with range? Doesn't seem that great. The wasps are doing so good, but now we kind of lose the chaff battle. Okay, so it looks like we still win here actually, even without the Phantom Rays in front. And this is just a little bit better because the Phantom Rays are slightly more useless. What if we go for arc light range just to get our chaff clear? Pretty sure I don't want this this guy. So we have chaff clear pretty much everywhere. Just make this guy go a little... you know what? Let me just go for 2 Phoenixes. Just so we could fully test. See if this is the right move here. Level 2 arc lights should do halfway decent into his composition, as long as they stay alive. Yeah, so never go for arc light range. Arc light range is always a throw. Seemed like just going for pure Phoenixes is even better than that. Okay, so that was the correct solution for this round. We went for the factory a little bit early. Almost lost. So the way we placed that factory, I mean, we didn't have any techs on it. Would it have been better to go for like level 1 factory with some techs? Because we've seen Conclusion just play level 1 factory. But we're always a little bit worried about level 1 factory because it's not that tanky. At least we can do this, right? I think we want speed. I think we want missiles. Chaff probably doesn't make a huge difference here, but you can always just throw in, yeah, like Chaff, everything's gonna go on fire. So just upgrade this. So let's see if a level 1 factory is the correct play. And now this is gonna be 75% of the HP as a level 2 factory. But it effectively is immune from the Vulcans, which maybe is a huge deal. Still not going to tank that much. But I just wonder, was that the better decision? Because look at this. Like, we're dominating on this side. And it definitely looks like we might even be able to win here. Yes? Okay, so level 1 War Factory with armor is better than a level 2 War Factory naked. I mean, at least into Vulcans. That's very good to know, and that's just because we've seen the Conclusion playing always level 1 War Factories. So that's something we need to add into our arsenal. So the way we transitioned into worms here. But I wonder if we just doubled down on this, could that have worked? So we'll skip, and now we have the money for this. Now we have the money for, like, you know, Overload, and everything. We can go for a beacon. Obviously, we're worried about the melter, but if he doesn't come out at us with a melter, we should be fine. So we can go for HE, maybe. And is there anything else we can go for? I think we want to sell out of this. We'll upgrade these guys. Could go for Chaff, but the Chaff isn't going to be super effective. You know, maybe a Wasp Chaff is interesting. Just for here. That doesn't really do that much, the Wasp Chaff, but we have gotten into his face. So in reality, he should have been defending against this, and the fact that he didn't defend against this is not a great play from his perspective. Because this is a pretty obvious follow-up. It's the most simplest follow-up. 2,500. I think that's enough to win. Yeah. Okay, so last round, we go back for the factory play. Yeah, that's way more. Investing into that is better than this, but we were expecting melters, right? That's the reason why we didn't do that. So the better play is to go for the worm. If you know he's not going for the melter, he's not respecting you, then you just keep going into that. But it's a mind game, right? So we'll skip this. And what if we just keep going into these amazing worms? Could even click armor on the worms now. We could sell out of this because it's gonna die. And we can get another worm. So what happens if we go all in on the worms? Does that even work? This oil might actually be better for us than him because he's got 2 crawlers coming in. Guess he's going to extinguish his own fire though. So our phoenixes don't even have range, but they have charge shot, and that works because of the front line. That being said, our front line's kind of dead. So, okay. Maybe the armor doesn't work that well. Maybe we go for a different tech? Is it going to be like first strike? Yeah, first strike looks pretty devastating. 30% damage, though, isn't that big of a deal. It's the splash that's doing... The deck has the potential to do more. But... we're not looking super resilient on this side. It's basically still not enough. Okay, so... we basically have to transition out of the worm, right? I mean, what if we just go for level 2 worms instead? Does that make it, like, more winnable? And we can go for another tech. We can go for armor. I think the armor is probably better if we had to choose one. So maybe it's just going level 2. Fix the problem. Now we have more worms on his stronger side. 2 level 2. Well, even this worm's going into the middle. So... yeah, the level 2 worm is taking so many shots. Here we start losing this side because we don't have anything. The problem with this side is we don't have anything behind. We don't have any air units besides these few... So I wonder if it's just mispositioning of those worms. Maybe they need to be more over here. Armor is going to be pretty decent just because it enhances the survivability. For that 450, you're getting a lot of value, so I think it's a no-brainer to go for the armor. Plus it tanks the Vulcan. You kind of can't go for more air units given the spell is available. Why are we not going for the tower? Is there ever a situation where we use a beacon, but it just doesn't look good here? Like if we have to use beacons and stuff, it just doesn't look good. So actually, I think the game plan is you have to go factory, worm, um, and then back to factory, or you go worm and then factory because he's never going to build a melter for this, and the factory is always going to be like a really really good tank. You know, along with this, that actually does damage. So I think the factory kind of complements the sandworm for the finisher. I'm not quite sure. You know, we would have built more phoenixes and stuff, but the thing is, um, you know, he's got these guys are pretty far back, and he's got a lot of chaff coming in. We don't necessarily have chaff clear that can survive, so you know, more phantom rays is never good here. It's just gonna die to his overlords. He's got the late chaff. That's the problem. Um, yeah, and then of course the spell.